Well, voting is underway in Russia to elect a new president. Vladimir Putin looks all but certain to retain the country's top job, which would see him lead the country for another 6 years. The Kremlin has released a video showing the leader casting his vote online. Long queues have been seen at polling booths across the country as thousands cast their ballot over the next 3 days.
Such events are unfolding now. Of course, I want to make my own choice and support our Commander-in-Chief.
I decided to vote for the communists, for Haritonov, because I want some small changes and some more justice in our society.
Yes, I am for Putin, because we need stability, definitely.
Some protesters have taken to ballot boxes to light fires, hurl Molotov cocktails and even dump green dye in a bid to spoil votes. Well, joining me live now is Axios congressional reporter Stephen Neukam. Stephen, thanks so much for your time. As we've just seen there, the voting underway in Russia. Putin this week as well said that Russia is ready to use nuclear weapons if its sovereignty or independence is threatened. Not the first time he's made this warning, though.
Yeah, it's not. And obviously, U.S. President Joe Biden and Russian President Vladimir Putin do not have a fantastic relationship. But the battle where you're seeing this play out in the U.S. is in the U.S. Congress. There's a broad agreement amongst lawmakers that there needs to be continued U.S. support for Ukraine. Really, the U.S. Senate has already passed this. The president released another, I think, $300 million in funding for the Ukrainian military this week, and it all lies in the hands of House Speaker Mike Johnson to move forward with a more holistic, larger package of military funding for the Ukrainian military.
And Donald Trump and Joe Biden have officially been named their party's presumptive nominees for president. It looks like another rematch, a bit of deja vu. How do you see this playing out? I know it's a few months away, but what are we expecting?
Yeah, well, right now we're sort of already in a general election season and general election environment. Given the fact that these two men are so early on in this process already, the nominees. And, what do we expect? I mean, everything is going to be about the election. Everything will be Trump versus Biden. Biden gave his State of the Union address last week, which was essentially a campaign speech. And, he didn't name Trump by name, but frequently talked about his predecessor. And we see battles on Capitol Hill going on and in Congress. And the through point is sort of Trump versus Biden, Republican versus Democrat. So until November and through November, it's going to be a highly political environment. And it is largely going to revolve around two men, Donald Trump and Joe Biden.
Let's turn to a different topic. TikTok might be banned in the US after the House passes the bill. Big one here.
Yeah, the House overwhelmingly passed a bill that could eventually ban TikTok in the U.S. Essentially, the push here from U.S. lawmakers is to get ByteDance, the Chinese-owned company, which is heavily invested in TikTok, owns TikTok, to divest from the app. So now the legislation goes over to the U.S. Senate. President Joe Biden is supportive of this legislation. If it made it to his desk, he would sign it. But we already see it possibly hitting some hiccups in the Senate. There's lawmakers who are worried about constitutional issues, issues about First Amendment, free speech, singling out a particular app in a piece of legislation. So there's no guarantee that it gets through the Senate by the end of this year. But certainly, given the overwhelming vote in the House of Representatives, which is rare given how partisan and political everything is right now, there is immense pressure on senators to act on this bill.
Yeah, very good points there. And finally, the economy, how is it going? US inflation slightly up.
Yeah, it's slightly up, and obviously, not a fantastic sign for the president going in as we inch toward November. If the White House will still say that it's a strong economy, that growth is strong. If you talk to Republicans, they will point to inflation. I mean, their entire campaign around the economy has to do with inflation. The fact that the president and the White House Democrats say that this is a good, strong economy, while people in America working people families don't necessarily see that, and we see that in the polling that there's certainly a disconnect between how Democrats see the economy going and how voters are feeling it in their homes. So we'll have to continue to track as we get closer to November. But as we all know, the economy is always going to be a top issue.
Absolutely. Well, always good to see you. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Thanks for having me.